Hi everyone. Today we are discussing multiplying binomials. In other words, we are going from factored form to standard form. Okay. So a binomial is just a group of two terms, okay, meaning bi. Okay, so like we want to multiply 2x plus 3 times 5x plus 8. And there are three different ways that we can do this. So we're going to discuss each one, and you can choose which way you do it. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, so the first way is using the distributive property. What we're going to do is we are going to pull off each of the two terms in the first grouping. That is the 2x and the 3. And we're going to multiply each of those by what's in the second grouping. So you can see I have 2x multiplied by the 5x plus 8. And then I pull the 3 down, positive 3 times the 5x plus 8. So if this had been a negative here, then the negative would have been in front of the 3 down in our distributive section. Okay, now we're just going to distribute, meaning that we're multiplying each of these, okay, straight through. So 2x times 5x, 10x squared, 2x times 8, 16x. And then I do the same thing with 3. 3 times 5x is 15x, and 3 times 8 is 24. The last step is just to combine the like terms. We need to combine the 16x and 15x because they each have an x, which means they're like terms. So our final answer would be 10x squared plus 31x plus 24. Okay, the second way is by foiling. So some of you have seen where you actually do first, out, in, and last. First meaning the first two terms. Okay, the first two terms here. So 5x times 2x gave us 10x squared. Then we do the outside, 5x times 7x, so the extremes. 5x times 7 is 35x. Then we do the inside terms. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And then last but not least, the last terms. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. Okay, and then at this stage, we are actually just combining everything together for our terms. 35 minus 6x. Okay, that gives me, 29x minus 21. So you can see that it's very similar to distribution, except we're not writing it all out longhand. Now, the downside to this is you have to make sure that you get all four scenarios, because if you don't, then you're going to miss out on one of the terms. Okay. So this is another multiplying binomial with FOIL. Okay, first, outer, inner, last. Okay, so you can see in the brown, okay, first x times x, which is x squared, outer x times negative 3, which is negative 3x. Then you do the inner, negative 5 times x, and then you do the last, negative 5 times negative 3. Okay, so you can change it around, you can do color, whatever you want to do, but it's doing the same steps. Okay, so the third way that you've learned to multiply is with a box method, and if you like box method, that's perfectly fine. So here we have x minus 5 and x plus 3, so we're drawing a box. Okay, since we have two terms, we're too wide and too tall, okay, meaning two boxes. All right, so x and negative 5 are on one side, x and positive 3 on the other side. It doesn't matter which went on the left and which went on the top. Now you're just multiplying. So in box 1, I have x times x, which is x squared. Then I multiply x times negative 5, and that becomes here in this box, negative 5x. I do the same thing with the bottom left box. That's the x and the positive 3, so 3 times x is 3x. And then in this bottom right box, that's the -5 and the +3, and that becomes -15. When you combine your terms are going to be on this diagonal. Okay, you can see that 3x and -5x have the same terms. Okay, so in this case, -5x plus 3x is -2x. So we have x squared, combine these, -2x, and then the -15. Okay, so there are 3 different ways for you to multiply binomials, and you can choose which one you like. They all come out with the same answer. Okay, so here we're multiplying y plus 4 times y minus 3, and here are all the different equations that we could come out with. All right, it's identified for us that the first one should be the one that we get. So let's try this out and make sure. Okay, so I'm going to take the first way, I'm going to do this, each of those 3 ways so that you can see. So if I did it using distribution, then I would have y times y minus 3 plus 4 times y minus 3. Okay, so remember I'm going to distribute these now. Y times y is y squared. Y times -3 is -3y. Same thing here. 4 times y is 4y. 4 times -3 is -12. And then we just have to combine these terms. So y squared plus y minus 12. Okay, so in fact 1 is our answer. Now, if I wanted to do FOIL, okay, if I wanted to do FOIL, and I'm just going to rewrite these. Okay, first, y times y, y squared, outer, y times -3, inner, 4 times y, last, 4 times -3. And you can see that that is a little shorter. Okay, so some people like distribution, some people like FOIL. Okay, and now we're going to pull out the box here. Okay, y plus 4, y minus 3. Remember, it doesn't matter which grouping went left or top. Okay, y times y is y squared. Y times +4 is 4y. -3 times y is -3y. -3 times +4 is -12. Okay, so remember now you have to combine what's on the diagonal. So I'm combining this -3y and that 4y. So my answer becomes y squared plus y minus 12. Okay, so there are all 3 different ways that you can multiply binomials done with this one equation, and you can choose which one that you like to use. Okay, now this one, the reason that we're working with this one is this has A's and B's. Sometimes you have some extra letters in here. That's okay. So this problem is saying we should come out with number 4. I'm going to do the FOIL method here. Okay, so I'm going to take care and we are going to do FOIL with this one. So first, 2a times 2a, and that gives me 4a squared. Okay, outer, 2a times 4b. Okay, 2 times 4 is 8, and I have an a and a b. Okay, they're just going to stay the way they are. Okay, inner, -3b times 2a, so -3 times 2 is -6, and we have an AB pair. And then last, negative 3b times 4b. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. B times b is b squared. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is combine terms. Okay, these are both AB's, so 8 minus 6 is 2AB minus 12B squared. So I like FOIL a lot because I can kind of, it helps me move along the problem a little faster, and sometimes we need that. Okay. Now when we start multiplying a trinomial, meaning now I'm going from 2 to 3 terms, FOIL does not happen anymore. Okay, so we are stuck either doing distributive or doing the box method. Okay, all right, so when I do the distributive, remember that we pull out the 2x and the 5, okay, as you can see here, and then we multiply through. So 2x times x squared, 2x cubed, 2x times negative 5x is negative 10x squared. 2x times 4, that gives me 8x. Okay, then I move to the second half. That was a 5, so we have negative 5, and we're going to do it again. Negative 5 times x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative 5x is a positive 25x. And negative 5 times positive 4 is negative 20. Okay, so now we have to combine these terms. I want to look and see what terms are alike here. So when I look, I don't have anything in x cubed, but I have a negative 10x squared and a negative 5x squared. Okay, and you can see that they wrote them together. You don't have to do that. You could just now say negative 10 minus 5 and go straight to this negative 15. Okay, I also see that I have positive 8x and positive 25x. And positive 8 plus another 25 gives me 33x down here. Okay, and I don't have any other constants, meaning a term without a variable, so I'm going to leave that at negative 20. Okay, now sometimes if you don't want to write it all the way out like this, you've seen people go 2x times x squared, 2x times negative 5x, 2x times 4. And that is the same as writing this distribution in this very first section right here. Okay, and then they would do the same thing with the 5. Negative 5 times x squared, negative 5 times negative 5x, negative 5 times 4. And you can do it that way, or you can just write it out. Okay. So if we wanted to use the box method on this exact problem here, okay, you would have a row or a column 2x and the minus 5, and then the x squared, the minus 5x, and the plus 4. Okay, you could have put the 2 on the top and the 3 on the side. It doesn't matter. Okay, then you start multiplying 2. 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times negative 5x, negative 10x squared. 2x times positive 4 is 8x. So you're just filling in those boxes just like we did before. Okay, now we come and we do it again. Negative 5 times x squared. Negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative 5x is positive 25x. And negative 5 times positive 4 is negative 20. So remember last time we had to combine the diagonals. That's where our like terms were. And you can see here in yellow, those are all of our x squared terms. And in red, those are all of our x terms. So when we combine them, we end up with 2x cubed. We combine the yellow, which gives us negative 15x squared. We combine red, which gives us positive 33x, and then minus 20. Okay, so once again, totally up to you which method that you like. Okay, so here, if we multiplied through, we should get the third one here, and we can choose which way we wanted to do this. I'm going to do box method just to be different. Seems like people tend to gravitate to this one more. Okay, so I'm going to have 2p and plus 1. I'm going to have p squared minus 3p and positive 4. Okay, so we're going to multiply through here. 2p times p squared is 2p cubed. 2p times negative 3p, negative 6p squared. 2p times positive 4, 8p. Okay, now we're going to the bottom row. 1 times p squared is just p squared. 1 times negative 3p is negative 3p. And 1 times 4 is positive 4. Okay, so just like before, we will need to combine some things. So we want to combine these p squared terms together. And we also want to combine these p terms together. Okay. So that means my final answer should be 2p cubed. Negative 6 and 1 more is negative 5p squared. 8 and minus 3 is a positive 5p and plus 4. Okay. All right. So the last thing on here is these are the U-tries. This is actually your assignment that you should work on, and it is already in your Google Classroom.